Government Code 54956.95, the board appointed Mark Mulaney for Director of Facilities. The board also appointed Dieter Swank as Principal of Laurel Elementary. The board as well as appointed as Principal of North Terrace, Jennifer Hughes. This one asks for approval of agenda. Call for the vote.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Ask for superintendent report at this time, please.
Yes, I'd like to share that our Nutrition Services Department will be providing summer meals once again this year at Oceanside and El Camino High School, Del Rio, Santa Margarita on the base, Pusa, here at Chavez, Lincoln Middle School, MLK Middle School, South O Elementary, Libby Elementary, Palmquist, Mission, Ivy Ranch, North Terrace K-8 on the base, at the Melba Bishop Community Center and the Oceanside Public Library Civic Center. We will operate, we started on June 13th, we will go through August 2nd, Monday through Friday, except the July 4th holiday. Breakfast is from 7 to 9, lunch is from 11 to 12:45, and meals are available to all children through the age of 18. So thank our Child Nutrition Services for that service throughout the summer. And then for the rest of my report, I'd like to invite Jody Diamond, the Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Club, up to the podium to share some information about the Boys and Girls Club. Thank you, Jody, for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for seeking time to me. Good evening, esteemed board of directors. I have a couple updates that I wanted to share with you. I know it's a little old school. We're going back to paper. In front of you, you have kind of a PowerPoint. I'm going to be talking about 3 items. One is our Stop the Hate grant. 2 is our new food truck. And lastly, talking about our upcoming merge. So you can see here on the second page and the third page, we received a $250,000 2-year Stop the Hate grant. It is very exciting because it is certainly in a climate that we could use to help our youth and teens and our roads members really begin to understand words matter, semantics matter. Through this grant, we have what we call Youth United program for all of our club youth and teens, as well as our roads members. You may recall that we offer a very unique program to adults with disabilities called ROADS, Real Options for Adults with Disabilities. It's obviously when the kids are in school, our building typically would sit empty, so we started our ROADS program 13 years ago. It's now a Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. program for adults with developmental disabilities. So they are also included in this particular grant. It's age-appropriate curriculum, including hate crime education, bystander training, racial and social justice speaker series, and we have a number of speakers that come in from the North County African American Women's Association to the North County LGBTQ Resource Center, OPD, NAMI, to mention a few. So it's really a robust program to help our youth understand the challenges that there are with hate crimes and what happens. In addition, it provides training for our staff on hate crime and incidents, and also resources for those that have either been a victim or witnessed an event of a hate crime. We held a t-shirt contest for our youth, and Victoria, who now is going into Oceanside High School, was the winner of our t-shirt contest. It says, "Kindness is key." Designed by Oceanside OUSD students, and I have one. Well, I don't have one for everyone, but you can fight over them. I have a few for you. These are some of our sponsors on the back that help to support this Stop the Hate grant. We held I think it's on the next 2 pages, we held a community barbecue and ribbon cutting, and this particular t-shirt was unveiled at that barbecue. I think we had almost 21st, so it was really a lot of fun. And again, it's an awareness piece so our youth can see what Stop the Hate means. In addition, this particular grant funds Teens United Night, and it's a Friday night, once a month, provides an opportunity for all youth in Oceanside to come to the Boys and Girls Club and have some fun activities. We hope this fall we'll be doing a teen symposium, again, all surrounding with the Stop the Hate grant. On the next page, you'll see we're super proud. We had our ribbon cutting on June 1st, as I mentioned. This is our new food truck. Let me show the audience because we're super proud of it. And it is a youth workforce readiness program. It's for youth, by youth, and it's called the Lunchbox. It's super cute, really beautiful inside, brand spanking new. It's basically a kitchen on wheels, and the idea was about bringing these nutritious homemade meals that we make at the club that serve our youth dinner and snacks, or lunch and snacks. How do we get it out into the community? And it really started to breed during COVID when we realized that we could not get hot meals into the community where there's food insecurity. So that's kind of where the idea was sparked about the food truck. And thanks to some funders that we have listed on the next page, the San Diego County District Attorney's Office, the Parker Foundation, and the City of Oceanside provided funding to allow us to purchase this incredible food truck and then start a culinary arts program that actually has paid internships for our teams. We currently have, we have 18 chefs, not 18, but 8, teen chefs. One of them just joined the Navy, so we're down to 7 paid interns. And it's really just, you have to see it in practice. To hear the testimonial from these kids, this is their first job. They're learning culinary skills, they're learning nutrition requirements, they're learning about different knife techniques, and then they're taking it on the food truck, providing these meals free to any youth under 18 in the community. So we'll be coordinating with the City of Oceanside, and of course not wanting to do any sort of duplicity with where the schools are serving the meals. It's really about getting it into areas where our kids are that don't have access to food. So you'll be seeing our food truck on the street. Give a little honk when you see. We're hoping that we will also be able to increase these opportunities for our teams to have these paid internships. I've been working with Oceanside High School youth that are there as well. Lastly, and please stop me, you know that I love talking about this and I know you have a full agenda. Lastly, I want to bring up, as you may recall or you may know, we have been in conversation for the past 4 years talking about collaborating with the Boys and Girls Club of San Diego. And I am thrilled to announce that it is official as of July 1st. We will be merging these two strong organizations and not only expanding our geographic footprint. You can see on your deck here will be Carmel Valley, Del Mar, Solana Beach, Encinitas, Oceanside, including Camp Pendleton. But what it will allow us to do is it will allow us to enhance existing services, increase program impact, replicate our roads program, being able to bring our roads program down south. San Diego has an incredible aquatics department. They actually train up here at El Corazon as well. There are over 700 on their swim team. And they also run all of the after-school, all of the middle school sports program in 5 school districts. So being able to bring sports up here into Oceanside in a much more refined way, we're very excited about. What we're able to bring to them is that we're very strong in STEM activities. So we're able to really begin to multiply that quality and expand our footprint. And I will just say it because oftentimes there's an elephant in the room, so let's just speak about it. We are skipping over Carlsbad. They are certainly welcome to join into this merge. They're not ready yet, but we're always open to expanding our merge opportunities. So the middle school sports program serves over 1,800 athletes now, and we hope to be able to bring this up to the school district here and Club. Thank you for allowing me to take some time tonight.
Thank you. Hold on, I think there's a couple questions real quickly.
Sorry. I just have compliments on presentations. Excellent.
Okay, it's on now? Thank you. Okay. The presentation was excellent. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And congratulations on the merger with Sandy Hill. I think it's going to be fabulous. And your Stop the Hate campaign, is that in combination with the camp, the summer camp, community camp program?
Yes, it is. So there, we have different curriculums each week, and embedded throughout, I know it's always about disguised learning, embedded throughout, there's the Stop the Hate techniques. It's also about language, semantics, words, and behaviors, because it really is about teaching what does that mean, how does that hurt, how do we begin to heal. So it's all surrounding the Stop the Hate curriculum. And I should mention, I failed to mention, I know it's in your deck here, but we will be serving 6,500 total members now coming merged together. And then other youth served, it will top almost 16,000. So that other youth served is when we have like fall festivals at your schools, when we're doing our fall festival at our club. Those are youth that are coming and having that impact, but they're not coming every day. So that's what we're trying to do, is retain them and recruit them.
Fantastic. With the Sandy Hill merger, will we be able to expand and improve or develop and improve a swim team or a surf team? Since Oceanside is the epicenter and home of surfing.
Well, I think what was most important, and we've written several grants and had some funding to provide swim lessons, is that especially for our BIPOC community, we know that children of color drown at a faster rate than their white counterparts. And that is because they don't have access to water safety, and that's what's most important. We live so close to the beach. We have to ensure that all of our kids have the ability and access to learn how to swim and be around water. Different types of, not just the pool, but also swimming at a lake, etc. So we're excited to be able to bring those resources here, as well as there are one Olympic-sized pool and a smaller pool down in San Diego. So we're doing some joint grants to be able to teach swim lessons in both areas.
So we're using the pool over by the Mission, right behind us.
Yeah, we are the Brook Street pool is where we typically take them. So our kids went on Tuesday? Yeah, they went Monday to swim.
I just want to applaud you all for continuing to work with our families within the community and everything that you continue to do. I can't wait to see the truck roll around the neighborhoods, and I'm going to be honking a lot, obviously, but thank you so much for doing that and continuing to work with them and continuing to support and just do everything that you do with them. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for the t-shirts.
Board report?
Okay, my board report is very short. I had the opportunity to visit and take a tour of the Boys and Girls Club in the new bus, what do you call the bus? The food truck?
The lunchbox?
You said that you did not mention how many lunches that are food or meals that you provided. Can you share with us that?
During COVID, we provided over 55,000 free meals to any youth under 18. Our projected goal for this next upcoming year will be 204,000.
Wow. All right. Thank you. I would encourage everyone to visit, make an appointment and visit the Boys and Girls Club. It is a phenomenal facility. It is very state-of-the-art. It's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Diamond.
No report.
No report here.
And myself, no report at this time. Thank you. We will go to public comment. Oh, yeah, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. meeting, individual speakers will be allowed up to 3 minutes total to address the board on agenda items, including items on consent agenda. However, a total time for public input may be limited to 20 minutes. While the total time per speaker for a given topic may be slightly reduced in certain circumstances, all persons wishing to address the board will have a meaningful opportunity to do so during this meeting. An individual may only turn in one public comment card for the public comments on agendized items.
Okay, we have four. The first one would be Patty Kay, Rosa Higuera, Lisa Farrell, and then Emily Richmond.
Good evening, board. I had a question, comment about, and since it's on the agenda, hopefully it can be answered. 5B, approval of conference attendance. To be transparent, as we spoke before, I would like to see on the agenda any projected conferences and who will be attending them. I suggest that before you vote on approval, that would be itemized so it would be more available for everyone to know, since we're paying the fees as taxpayers. 5C to 5G, regarding agreements with Wellness Together, National Conflict Resolution Center, Palomar Family Counseling, Cook Center, and Transformational Counseling. I'd like to ask the board how you can vote to approve these agreements that are suggested, I assume, by staff, if you weren't given any stats on the number of students that have been helped and the outcomes of this. In other words, most of these agreements that you're voting on tonight have already been working in the district. And so you should, I would think, want to know the results of the money, our taxpayer money that was spent, before you vote to approve them again for another year or two. Will you be able to answer me on anything like that? Any of the information on any of these companies? No stats, no information, you're just going to vote on them? Okay. On the justification statement on some of these agreements, it simply states that it would not be good to change the agencies, but it gives no indication of the performance, and I don't think that's really justification for just voting them back in, personally. On number BB, you are hiring a second social worker in the DEI department, correct? And to what end will she be used, Mr. Sparks?
This is a comment time, sorry.
Well, that it is on agenda, so I know you're able to answer. Okay. Is she Spanish speaking? Any comment on that? No. Thank you.
You can attribute that at any point in time if you feel comfortable with it. Go ahead, hold on one second.
We're asking staff to answer. I'm assuming that we could ask staff to answer some of these questions. Would you rather do it up here in a one-on-one like that, or afterwards when we're in a discussion?
I would say let's do it after.
Okay, that's what-
Is that possible?
We have interest in responding and or asking our staff the questions that you've raised for us to consider, and that has an interest to us. We will ask staff to clarify. Otherwise, assume we're comfortable with the staff recommendations and the reports that we have.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right, so I would like to talk about the approval of the Wellness Together and the Family Counseling Services. Why don't we have wellness clinics? What is a wellness clinic? Well, I guess a wellness clinic is where you can take a 12-year-old and they can get an abortion or sex change operation without parental consent or even the knowledge. Let's follow this line, the transgender conveyor belt. The schools teach the children to question their gender. And then the teachers affirm a child's new gender identity and hide it from the parents. And then the counselors that are taxpayer-funded money, they support a new gender identity. Again, all hidden from the parents. Parents must go along or they risk losing custody. Foster parents must support a gender transition as well. Insurance companies must pay for a gender transition. Once again, that means taxpayer-funded money. Doctors must perform a gender transition. And guess who ultimately pays the price? Our precious, beautiful, irreplaceable children. The children are our future. And if you guys are hell-bent on destroying our children, we have no other choice but to pluck each one off of you out of office. Jordy Sparks, Donald Benz, Ann Gibbons, Eleanor Evans, Julie Vitelli, Raquel Elbris, Stacey Begin, Mike Bussey, Mercedes Lovey, Todd McAteer, and Andy Norman. Thank you for looking up. Actually, that's good. The Stop the Hate grant, that's amazing. State taxpayer-funded money again. And you told us who the players are, the LGBT Center and the Social Justice. What is social justice, by the way? It is a way to teach our kids to hate the color of their skin, their neighbor, teach racial hatred, hatred towards your country, and turn kids into little radical activists. All of this stuff does not belong in schools. We need to get back to teaching our kids academics. When did you guys stop caring? Some of you, like Eleanor and Mike, you've been on the board for 15 years. But you're not a voice for the children. You're not a voice for the community. Shame on all of you. Shame on all of you. We will replace you. Vote for Rosie Higuera, November 5th. RosieForSchools.com. Thank you so much.
Or I just want to clarify, we don't have any clinics on campus, nor do we perform any surgeries.
Abortion, no gender transition, surgery on campus. Amazing.
Good evening, I'm Lisa Farrell, Chair of our ODA LCAP committee. I want to take a second and say thank you to Dr. Smedley for taking on this monumental task and keeping the lines of communication open with me. Sorry, I usually have what I want to say all written out by the summer. I'm a teacher, my mind is on my 3-year-old who just discovered yesterday that swimming means you have to get your face wet. And I'm not sure she's going to get in the pool during her lessons right now. But I'm also thinking about my 3-year-old in respect of what is Oceanside going to look like in a couple of years when it's time for her to come to school here. I can tell you what my class is going to look like next year. I'm going to have 28 plus second graders in the class that should have about 24. I might have a combo. And I won't have intervention teachers to support the newcomers that I'll have. And when I left, we had several sped positions unfilled. So teachers at sites are begging for support, begging for help with large classes, begging for help with behaviors, begging for help supporting our students with a variety of needs. And honestly, through this LCAP process this year, I felt like district admin doesn't want teacher input. It was really difficult getting meetings calendared and having time for meaningful input, more so than any of the 7 or 8 years I've been doing this. At the forefront of our work on LCAP is student achievement. We all want students to be successful, parents, teachers, school board members alike. We have a duty to our students. Right now, we're continuing many of the good things that came out of LCAP. Elementary APs, full-time elementary counselors, counseling services, intervention teachers. They've kept us afloat this year and have been duties when we didn't have enough supervision on the playground. They've been paras in preschool and TK when we didn't have those positions filled. They've been there to build relationships in small group settings with kids who have a whole host of needs, and you know the population in our district. But what I don't see in that LCAP are specific actions that will address student achievement. Specific recommendations made at LCAP are not listed there in a way that I can see support for me and my students going into August. We also did not have an opportunity to look at the budget, look at what items cost and where we could cut or add or supplement as we have in years past. That was a big concern this year. I hope to see going forward in August that there are specific actions. I will pick intervention teachers that will support students and help teachers with the academic achievement of our students. Thank you.
I'll be starting with 4C, general consent. I found it very interesting that for the Wellness Together, you have now a justification letter, Dr. Sparks. He has to justify it. I don't know if that's now mandated, an unfunded mandate that you have to do, but it kind of says the same thing that you said before. Also on this one justification, it says that the Wellness Together Inc. will diligently spend and the vendor held accountable to performance and results. And my question is to whom? I haven't seen anything that's been transparent so far given to the board. Also, another justification is the National Conflict Resolution Center. And just like the teacher said before us, teachers are not happy with the restorative justice. They get in-service after in-service after in-service, but they find it's not practical, it doesn't work. So they just go back and do the hardest that they can with the less that you've been giving them. It also says that the NCRC will provide periodic reports to be shared with the Board of Education. I have not seen any of that at your school board meetings. Again, restorative justice, talking with the community and teachers, it's not working the way you're doing it. It's just not working. It's great on paper. Again, the words, I've looked the past couple of years that you have it. There's been different tiers that has not been completed in here. It also mentions about the action items of what you're going to do. It also mentions State of California ethnic studies, model curriculum. So that'll be interesting how that's going to be in the mix as far as your restorative practices, restorative justice and all that. Also, another question that was asked was SBB, your social worker, and I know the question was asked, is going to be Spanish speaker. And I know the Department of DEI has no Spanish speakers there for 60% of our Latino population, which is, we know Maria deals with the LGBT population, which she said on this dais, who's dealing with our Spanish speaker? Not only the kids, but especially the parents, like the ones at Libby School that you had to deal with time and time again because of the tort claim, because they couldn't get any action. Thank you for putting in a different experienced principal, and hopefully he can turn that school around. Also, general consent, the items PP, the preschool program. I had addressed that last year, and I asked Raquel, were they going to get some input, because it mentioned that the board had room for input on there. Well, I looked at this year's, and it mentioned that the May meetings, the May school board meeting, that the board would have an opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback for improvement. I looked at the May agenda, you had nothing on there. Again, the LCAP, I appreciate the teachers' insight in what hasn't been given in the classroom, what's been given for SEL and all that, but it's not given for the academic, which is number one in LCAP. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll call for vote on the items on the consent agenda, or actually, you know what? We're going to go ahead and have conversations with before we call for this vote. I don't want to move forward. So we'll start with the first question of all the data. So as far as the data goes, I have seen multiple times data, and I know we've gone through it a million times, and I've had to sit down for different conversations because I'm a data person and I always need to know somehow I log into it. But all the things that came through, and then it even had in the requirement of like what we were holding people accountable to. Can you explain a little bit of that so that, you know, everybody understands how that goes?
Sure.
Please.
So the LCAP goals, especially around goals 1, 2, and 3, which range from academic achievement to environment to family community engagement, they are all presented on throughout the year as part of the LCAP process. The one that our teacher spoke about just a few minutes ago and that Dr. Smedley facilitated. So we reported out on each of those goals, and around goal 2, we had an extensive report for all of our service providers and contracted service providers, ranging from any name that you see on the agenda here this evening. That information was all brought to the Board of Education meeting last time, and as we reported out on the LCAP entire report for the entire year, the same individuals who were asking to see the data and saying that it's missing talked and laughed through the entire presentation. So I'm not surprised that they missed it. It was there, it was for them, and that data is public as well. So they have it at their fingertips. Them saying that they don't have it is totally false.
Thank you. Ellen or anything?
I'll just address the other comments too about the additional social worker position. First in our department, both DEI and student services, both of which I oversee, we have at least 5 Spanish speakers, 3 of whom are native Spanish speakers, so that information is false as well. The community, the district's school social workers that we are hiring, it is a priority that they are Spanish speakers as well. So I want to correct that misinformation as well.
Thank you.
Just one question, Julie. I think the issue that was raised, I was just going to tell you about running late today on everything, but the consent item on the travel, that is a little thin. I think we've had more specificity in the past. I don't know if it's legally correct or appropriate, but it probably makes sense that we would list it out. But that's just my personal feeling.
Yeah, it's for out-of-state travel that needs to be approved by the Board of Education. I'm on the AASA board and attend other out-of-state conferences. Sometimes I know about the conferences ahead of time, sometimes I don't. Okay. And we've done this for the last 3 years on board. And it also covers out-of-state travel for the school board. Yeah, and again, it's the same item we've been doing for 3 years.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
First and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Move to 6, personnel. A, approval revised class specifications, ground job family. Ground job family.
Thank you, President Alvarez. So the next 4 items are approvals for job description updates. We are in year 3 of a 4-year cycle to update job descriptions for classified employees. Our process is to share the job descriptions as they currently exist with the groups and the families that are being up for review. They review it, provide input. We do a revision, send out a second version of it. They review that again. We review that as well with CSEA membership, and once that's all fleshed out, it goes to the Personnel Commission, and finally here for board approval. So those next 4 items are the job description updates for those families.
I just want to clarify real quick though that we are speaking to our CSEA staff, correct? Through this process?
Right.
So they're inputting and saying like this is what's going on and this is what's happening?
Correct. So the job descriptions are shared with all of the employees in each of the families for them to review and provide input back. We have a committee that works on that as well, that includes CSEA leadership, that works with Jolie Napier-Vea, our Director of Certificated. She then shares those revisions in a revision draft form for them to review a second time. And then that is brought forward to the Personnel Commission and finally to the board.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm so glad you guys are getting all of that done. I know you guys are playing catch up and working really hard. I would like to make a motion that we approve 5A through E because they're all revised classes. You said 6, sorry. 6A through E.
Well, E and F are separate.
You never second.
Okay. 6A
6A through 6D in one motion. So, first, do I have a second? Okay, so a first and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, what?
Go right ahead.
Oh, we can do them all separately, it's fine.
I think for transparency, we really should, rather than just bundle it.
Okay.
Four separate ones.
We'll just have the description, she's saying now.
This is a description of each.
For each one.
Yes, the
correct?
description,
But just
correct.
like the way normally go through. Okay.
Then we can just vote as one.
So you'll have all the descriptions read first and then we'll vote as one? Is that, you're okay with that then?
Yes.
Okay.
So Todd, will you do that if possible for you to do that?
Because we don't all do.
It's the same process for all of them. It's the same.
We're not reading the description, it's the same process for all of them. If you want him to go through, it's the same exact process for all 4 job families.
Right.
So are you wanting more information about what the actual jobs are?
Just the description of the job that he is presenting.
So Todd, as you
Sure, I
go
can
through
read
each
off.
item, just give a one-liner about what that job, because it's family, so just try and put it all in a summary.
Okay.
So we can vote on the first one, and then we'll take them each separately. I think that's what she's asking for.
No, I'm asking for a description of each job, and then we will vote on it. If someone disagrees, then at that time, we can go back and discuss it. But all I want is a description of what jobs, okay? Please.
So the first job family is the grounds family. That would include groundskeeper, irrigation technician, leads ground worker, and the senior groundskeeper.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
That's
That's not
not
what
what
she
she
wanted, but that's not what she wanted. Where's the?
We're spending too much time about doing something which should take no more than 2 minutes.
Let's just go through what we normally go through. Sorry, go ahead.
I apologize.
All right.
I'll look for it.
So 6A is, motion passes. 6B, Todd.
6B is approval for revised class job specifications for the transportation job family.
I have a motion. Any questions?
What positions does it?
Specifications in that family are for the dispatcher, equipment mechanic, fleet manager, lead dispatcher, lead mechanic, lead equipment mechanic, school bus attendant, school bus driver instructor, and service worker 2.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second, so first and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. 6C, please.
This is for the maintenance job family. This is for board approval to revise the job classifications for carpenter, electrician, fire, life, and safety technician, HVAC technician, lead maintenance worker, locksmith, maintenance worker, painter, plumber, project manager, maintenance operation and facilities, and refrigeration technician.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
First, a second. So all those in favor say aye. Motion passes. 6D, please.
This item for board consideration is operations job family for the custodial operations. This is for the specific positions of custodian, lead custodian 1, lead custodian 2, lead custodian 3, and lead custodian worker.
Okay, thank you. I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, motion passes. 6E, approval of revised class specification instruction assistant transitional kindergarten.
Yes, this is in response to school districts expanding with the TK position in public schools. And we did a look at the instructional assistant in the classroom. This includes both a revision of the job description with new language that addresses assisting students with performing the developmental needs at that early age. And it also includes a recommendation from the Personnel Commission for a range pay to go from range 12 to range 13. We would like the board to approve the recommendation of this revised class specification for instructional assistants transitional kindergarten.
Thank you. I'll call for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I will first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
F, approval of new class specification wellness clerk.
Right, so we have the new position to coincide at the two high schools to help support those schools with this position titled Wellness Clerk. Doesn't indicate it on the job description, but this is a 7-hour position.
Is this going to be a paraprofessional? Or is it whole?
It's a classified clerk position. It's under that range.
Okay, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Your motion passes. 7, curriculum and instruction. 7, the adoption of the 2024-25 local control and accountability plan and local indicators.
Thank you so much, President Alvarez. On June 11th, we presented the local control and accountability plan through a public hearing, and we now recommend approval of the local control and accountability plan for the 24-25 school year closeout and the next 3-year cycle.
I have a question. When, I know we heard one of our teachers, but will we get specifics? I know once the plan is approved, we'll have specifics on how we're going to address each one of those.
Yes, it's already posted on our website to be viewed in its entirety.
So to cover everything that was presented, the questions that were presented earlier.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'll call for a motion for 7A.
Move approval.
What's the first and the second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. 7B, approval of 2024-25 local control and accountability plan, LCAP federal addendum.
Yes, this addendum outlines how we'll be spending our federal funds to support our students in their achievement. Approval of this plan will allow us to move forward with the rest of our LCAP process.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. 7C, approval of purchase of MacBooks for Oceanside High School CTE Arts, Digital Media, and Entertainment pathway.
We're very excited to put forth with grant funding that we have. We'll be able to purchase MacBooks for our program at Oceanside High School to allow our students to be able to access the college and career readiness skills that they will need using modern equipment. So we recommend approval of this purchase. This is CTIG, so it's a entitlement, but we do have to ask for it.
And the program over at El Camino?
They have not made a request for this. If they made a request, we can fund that.
Do they know they can make a request?
I will check with Ms. Cullis, but I know she's very active with them as our CTE coordinator is always looking to meet every need. In fact, some of the things we purchase are smaller amounts, so she's able to address those right away.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a first and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Here, motion passes. 8A, the presentation of adopted budget and adoption of 2024-25 budget.
Thank you, President Alvarez. We have a presentation. All right, tonight we're going to be presenting the budget report for the 24-25 school year. Our unrestricted MYP for the next 3 years shows anticipated revenues and expenses. This is our unrestricted summary that we're looking at. Revenue adjusts based on the assumptions that are included in the budget. We anticipate the revenue to remain somewhat consistent in the next few years. Expenses adjust based on how much the district expects to spend each year. We see a decrease in expenditures from 24-25 to 25-26, and then a slight increase in 26-27.
Some of the decrease is due to the work with our labor partners in changing the funding structure of our health and welfare benefits. In addition, district departments have identified areas of reductions so that the amount of deficit spending is minimized over the next 3 years. In 26-27, we are projecting a 1.9 increase in expenses for employees step-in advances in the salary schedule. The ending fund balance becomes the beginning fund balance for the next fiscal year. We are able to successfully meet our obligations for the next 3 years, resulting in a positive budget for the 3rd year. The state requires districts the size of OUSD to maintain a reserve of at least 3% calculated on the expenditures of the combined summary. So we're going to move in and we're going to look at the combined summary now. It looks just like the last slide, but it's very different. We have the revenues. The MYB combined summary brings together both the unrestricted and the restricted budget. That's why we call it the combined. Revenue continues to decrease over the next 3 years. This is due to the declining enrollment, not just happening in Oceanside, but throughout the state, and some categorical funding and grants being fully expensed. Expenses go down in 25-26 and 26-27, but we still see deficit spending taking place because our expenses are still outpacing the revenue. The beginning fund balance and the ending fund balance includes both unrestricted and restricted dollars, and both continue to decrease over the next 3 years. The non-spendable and other commitments includes anything prepaid, such as contracts, OPEB, revolving cash, and stores, and there are no reductions needed to meet the reserve, and our 3% again is calculated on expenditures of the combined summary. Next slide. Now we have components of the ending fund balance where we look at our estimated actuals and our proposed budget. We've made, these changes will be, non-spendables include stores, revolving cash, and prepaid expenditures. The assigned funds are the amount of funds above the 3% reserve up to 10%. We have a 9.7 million set aside for declining enrollment and revenue loss, mitigation, furniture, equipment, buses, and light fleet. Our committed funds are anything above 10% for the 24-25 fiscal year. We anticipate 10 million for post-retirement employee compensation, facilities, and deferred maintenance. And our last line is the 3% reserve. So our last slide are actions to ensure fiscal solvency and next steps. Continue to incorporate updated revenue and expenditures as they become available for current and multi-year projections. Closely monitor student enrollment and adjust staffing accordingly. Reduce staff as funding timelines expire, for example, with restricted funds, titles, grants. We don't have any staffing and COVID funding anymore that's ongoing. Evaluate other expenditures and make necessary adjustments, and complete the year-end close and unaudited actuals, and then present the unaudited actuals and revised budget at the September 10th, 2024 board meeting. And that's the end of the budget.
Thank you. Thank you for having a positive budget. This is like 4th year in a row, 3rd year in a row.
3rd year in a row, yeah. And it's because the actions of the board and it's also the work with our labor partners are very appreciative.
Actions to ensure fiscal solvency, that second bullet on monitoring student enrollment and adjusting staff accordingly. I think that's our, we're ending up, we have combos. I know we have an average, class size average for the K through 3, but I'm not a firm believer in combo classes at all. So when we adjust our student enrollment and the staffing to match it, a lot of that happens last minute, am I correct?
It does, and we have put some measures in place to help make sure that we monitor it. For example, last year when we closed classes, rather than continuing to add teachers, rather than shifting students throughout the district to make sure we're maximizing where our students can attend school close to school and then letting them come back the next year. So we do things like that. We do minimize the amount of combination classes as much as possible. I think this is more of an HR, I don't want to get into toddling, they'll kick me under the table. I was in HR for a while. Did you want to add anything, Tom?
No, we do monitor. I think this last year we had about 9 combination classes, from what I remember. So we keep it at a minimum. We also have worked to cap enrollment at schools so that students, once we're staffed and fully staffed, we can't go beyond that. We close schools for enrollment as a way to help control that. So we put in some measures to help alleviate that.
Thanks for the explanation.
Thank
Now,
you.
do we focus on the combos as well, where
TWI is kind of a one-off in how we staff that, and I'd be happy to go through the numbers with you and show you at each school how we do that so you could see and it would make sense to you, so that you could look at the numbers and know why we would do that in those situations.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve.
First, I'll second. Good job, by the way, again. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
8B, approve resolution number 51, 2324, designating certain general funds as committed fund balances.
Thank you, President Alvarez. Proposition 98 regulates school district funding. In 2014, Proposition 2 was passed, limiting the levels for Proposition 98 reserves. If the state reserve levels exceed 3% of the total Proposition 98 expenditures for TK-12, that triggers a 10% cap on local district reserves. If a district has reserve funds exceeding 10%, the overage must be designated for other purposes, with those purposes specified for the board to review and approve through a resolution. The 2021-22 State Budget Act triggered the reserve cap. The District 3 Resolution number 51 is providing a list of designated uses for the overage for the board's approval, and I reviewed those when I did the presentation.
I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Call first, and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. 8C, approval of resolution number 52, 2324, authorizing the use of educational protection account, EPA revenues for the 2024-2025 fiscal year.
Thank you, President Alvarez. On November 7, 2012, California voters approved Proposition 30, which added specific requirements for the receipt and disbursement of the revenues derived from increases in taxes. On November 8, 2016, the voters approved Proposition 55, which allowed the sales tax increase to expire in 2016 while extending the increased income tax rate through 2030. The revenues are dispersed into the Educational Protection Account, or the EPA. The Oceanside Unified School District Governing Board shall determine how the monies will be spent each year. Money received from this account cannot be used for salaries or benefits for administrators or any other administrative costs. Each year, an accounting of how much money was received from the EPA and how that money was spent must be annually published in the district's website. Oceanside Unified is projected to receive $30.9 million for 24-25 school year. Since the inception of the EPA, the district has utilized EPA monies to fund regular classroom teacher salaries. The district will again use the 24-25 EPA allocation to continue to pay for regular classroom teacher salaries.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
First and a second. All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. 9A, approve revisions to board policy 5121, grades evaluation of student achievement.
Yes, this board policy will update to align with current law and expand the understanding of how student evaluations may be done, including ensuring that students are not penalized for not having PE uniforms.
Yes.
Move approval.
Second. I have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Yeah, I kind of have a question.
I'm sorry.
Do we provide uniforms for students, PE uniforms at all?
I do not believe so, but if a student has a need, the school can provide it. But a student can wear their regular, whatever they choose that they want to wear for PE. So like they don't have to have like a branded
When they
shirt.
wear their regular clothes, aren't there a lot more resistance about participating in the physical PE activity or sport, whatever it is?
I haven't taught or been at a school site, so I'll have to check and get back to you on that.
Yeah, I really think it should be a requirement that
Yeah, it's been many years.
we provide uniforms, or they definitely should be in uniform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll call for a vote. I have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Approval of revision of board policy 513.8, mobile communications devices.
Thank you, President Alvarez. Board Policy 5131.8, mobile communication devices, have been revised in consideration of proposed legislation and establish data concerning the use of mobile communication devices in the classroom and its effect on academia. We revise this to limit or reduce the use of mobile communication devices on school campuses, especially during instructional time. It's recommended that the board approve the revision of board policy 5134.8.
Any questions? I support this. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. I have a comment about that, because, the dye is in the water. I strongly feel that if we do this, we really need support and consistency of whatever rules we come up with that administrators will support, because as a classroom teacher, I can remember confiscating a phone, and that was the rule, no phones at lunchtime, whatever. And the administrator will gave the phone right back to the student in front of me. The transaction of less than a minute. So if we're going to spend our time in terms of saying, no phones, then it needs to be consistent with administrators. It needs to be consistent with the teachers. And since we have technology, and computers, perhaps we need to figure out a way to incorporate the phone as an educational tool, okay, as opposed to a tool that can be used to plagiarize, certain assignments.
Sure. Yes, the board policy actually allows for decisions to be made for phones, mobile devices to be used for instructional purposes when it's determined they need to be. This board policy revision allows us to start planning and working with our administration and our teachers to determine the next best steps for restrictions on cell phones during the school day. So we're looking at a way to allow students to have their phones. We're not looking at taking them from them or confiscating them or anything like that. But we're looking at a way for them to be off and away during the day is what we're looking for. So this policy allows us to take that next step and work with our teams to develop a plan that will support that moving into the next school year.
I think it's a great idea, and I know seeing just firsthand, even the lower levels, secondary levels, that, the struggles of staff and teacher and administrators just because of the phones, because it's an antagonizer, social media is awful out there, and people use it in a very awful way, unfortunately, to attack, and students are, they see what, they do what they see it, but, people do, and they see adults doing it very easily, and unfortunately, they just take it to another level. So I'm excited to see what we can do to be the example of, to the adults sometimes to not be that way. So it's great.
I'm in favor of it. I just think it needs to be consistent.
I agree. And there's going to have to be a lot of conversation, between everybody. It's going to be, and it'll be I think it'll be a community thing, because parents will be like, what's going on, and you can't do that. And there's going to be a lot of, pushback on some of it initially, and I think a lot of it is going to come from the students, unfortunately, but, it'll be interesting to see what happens, and I'm excited to just move forward with this at this point. So, thank you. So, I'll call for a vote, or call for a motion. Oh, I have first and second, sorry. I'll call for a motion, or a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Motion passes. At this point, we were going to, during the portion of meeting agenda titled Public Comments on Non-Agenda Items, individual speakers will be allowed to speak up to 3 minutes total to address the board on non-agenda items. While the total time per speaker per a given topic may be slightly reduced in certain circumstances, all persons wishing to address the board will have a meaningful opportunity to do so during this meeting. However, the total time for public input may be limited to 20 minutes per item or topic. An individual may only turn in one public comment card for the public comments on non-agenda items per item board meeting. When your name is called, we ask, when your name is called to address the board, that is your opportunity to speak. If you refuse to speak when your name is called for is called for forfeit your time to address the board. So we have this one now. Thank you.
We have a total of 7 comments. Our first 2 speakers will be Letitia Helper and Janice Halawa.
Good evening, I'm Letitia Pepper. Did everybody get a copy of this handout? Okay, because when I turned in my card, I turned in a copy of this. So, does everybody have it now? Okay, great. So, I actually went to Oceanside High School, the old one downtown, and then I went to the second one after that. I was in the first group of people who went there. Now, I'm an attorney now, and I live in Oceanside part of the time. And actually, it gave me a great visual aid here, this sign that's up when something else is enough. And when it tells people that these are norms for board meetings, you'll see, I gave you something that tells you that the definition of norm, right, is basically, it's on the second page, an authoritative standard, a principle of right action binding upon members of a group. So this sign is intended to be binding on members of the people who come here. This is actually a violation of people's constitutional free speech rights. You can't tell members of the public that they have to use respectful language. They don't have to. You can't tell them they have to be respectful of all speakers. They don't have to. Would you respect the speaker who came and called you all Nazis? You might not respect that person. You probably wouldn't say anything about it, but you can't tell people to have respect when they don't have it. So you can't tell people not to cause disruptions. People cannot do things that disrupt a meeting in a certain legal way. But somebody might say something that causes people in the audiences to react, to cheer, or to clap. That's not a disruption that the speaker intentionally caused. So I would ask you to change the sign and remove the things that are actually a violation of people's constitutional right. If you want to say, and say, adhere to time limits, okay. The Brown Act is really clear what can be done. This is not the only thing that I have unfortunately observed that the school board is doing that's not lawful. And I'll talk about that in another meeting. I don't want to take too much time, but simply don't tell people they have to use respectful language. Don't tell them they have to respect everybody. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm an educational consultant. I'm making public comment because I can't unknow what I know. And it does not seem like all Oceanside Unified students are being provided with equitable access to education, particularly socioeconomically disadvantaged students, English language learners, and students with disabilities. To give one example, in regards to the CAS testing, during the 2022-23 school year, at Libby Elementary, just over 25% met or exceeded the standard in English language arts. While this is a low percentage, 0% of students with disabilities and only 5.41% of English language learners met or exceeded the standards. In math, nearly 20% of students met or exceeded the CAS standards. While this is also a low percentage, only 3.23% of students with disabilities and 5.41% of English language learners met or exceeded the CAS standards. And while I understand the need for school-based mental health counseling services, and I very much support restorative justice practices, in retaining Wellness Together for over $319,000 and National Conflict Resolution Center for over $207,000, It seems like the district is focused on outside providers versus on investing in your teachers and other staff who directly provide education and supports and services to students on a day-to-day basis, including providing all teachers, given the demographics, with training and supporting multilingual learners and students with disabilities. Moreover, the budget and spending of taxpayer dollars does not seem to be focused on improving the education for all students. As I have a few minutes, I'd also like to say that the after-school programs at the elementary school during this past school year were not all equal. Like some, like FUSAT would have extracurricular, they would do sport and have more homework support, whereas the Libby school, they didn't do any support and they didn't give the students any academic support. And so I hope this year there'll be more fair treatment of the different elementary schools, and that all, especially for for elementary schools where there's a large amount of socioeconomically disadvantaged students and English multilingual learners, they particularly need to have more before and after school support. So I hope that we'll see this. Thank you.
Next three speakers, Nancy Nunez, Rosie Higuera, and Beth Farmer.
Good evening. I would just like to address something that involves my character, my integrity, that occurred after the last board meeting on 6/13/2024. I was sent this letter by your legal team, and you all received it, a copy of it, which I think is very unfair. 2 days after the school board meeting, I was sent this from your legal team. The most disturbing thing was the amount of unfactual lies and grossly exaggerated statements targeted at a group of us who were just freely walking onto the parking lot. However, I was the only one singled out. All this did was use more of our tax-paying dollars to pay your attorney to send me this letter, as well as it created more division and animosity between the school board and the public people. Shame on you, that's wrong. This letter attacked my character, I felt. It also was intended to threaten and intimidate me, but luckily I serve a God who is much higher than the threats of man. All of us, hold on, with my time, I gotta get this in. This small incident could have been resolved between the parties involved. After all, we attend and worship at the same house of God. In regards to medical information, I took an oath as an RN, and that was to protect our children and patients, people in accidents on the road. I urge all of you to view this movie that we watched at our Grace Action team last night at our church. It's called Gender Transformation, The Untold Realities. It is shocking. It is a shocking, shocking movie. Many of us in this room watched it last night. I personally asked you to watch this, and I would be shocked to know that any of you would continue to support the LGBT agenda in our public schools after viewing this film. Lord help us. All of us are living on borrowed time. Our lives are just a dot on the line of eternity. We will all need to give an account of what we did and didn't do. This should be a sobering thought for all of you. Thank you.
So I would like to talk about a memo that was dated March 10th, 2023. It is a review of the geotechnical investigation prepared by NTGL Incorporated for Reynolds Elementary School demolition and replacement, number 815-736. This is from a registered professional engineer and former OUSD engineer of record. The review is limited to the liquefaction findings of the subject report. In reading the report, I found it to be highly professional and only relevant to the construction of new school from 1 to 2 stories after the existing building were demolished. This study for the new structure concludes that if ground improvements are performed and recommended on this report, that structures can be supported on shallow spread footings with foundations bearing entirely on improved ground or compacted. Alternatively, deep foundations may be used to support the structures. In other words, it's not a 911 situation to build a new school at this site, but we know that is now not the district's intent. So this is Reynolds Elementary, as you well know. 4 schools have been closed under Superintendent Bill Vitale's watch. That is Ocean Shores, Pacifica, Garrison, and Reynolds. The kids from Reynolds were transferred to Passat and Libby. The authorized closure of Reynolds was signed by Mike Blessing. So why are we closing all of these schools for our children? Could it be perhaps that Julie Vitale wants a $40 million new district office? I don't see how that helps our students. All I see is that since you've been here, Ms. Vitale, our grades have gone down, our schools have closed, and our community has suffered. You have been hostile to our community, to our parents, to our taxpayers. Our children and our community deserve far greater than your leadership. It's time for new leadership. Thank you.
Good evening, Trustee Evans. I'm a constituent in your district, and on June 6th, I emailed you asking if you were okay with the pride flag being raised at the district office. I have yet to hear from you, so I'm assuming, I know it was voted on last year, I'm assuming you voted for it, which to me, the only flags that should fly are the U.S. flag, the state flag, and the city flag. On June 17th, I emailed you regarding the letter that Nancy Nunez was talking about, because you were CC'd on that letter, which I have from the law firm. I am bringing this up because I wanted to speak to you as your constituent and give you my version of the story of what happened out front. And for those that don't know, Oceanside Unified spent $1 million retainer for this lawyer. So you have used that money against us. Let's clarify. Every evening after these meetings, there are those of us that are usually last leaving the meeting. Todd Madison was taking out his video recording, and we were all sitting outside. But what was said in the letter? Following the conclusion of the meeting, approximately 8:10, 2 district employees, a male administrator, Dr. Lawrence, huge man, and a staff employee, Ms. Gibbons, were walking to their cars in the middle of the night, the parking lot at night by themselves. Okay, so it wasn't dark yet, and you weren't by yourselves. We were all out there talking, and I was talking to my husband and Todd Madison. A group of at least 5 people, including yourself, which is Nancy, who appeared to be waiting for the female employee, saw 2 district employees approach and ultimately interrupt them as they walked by. That is not what happened. I heard Nancy talking to someone who seemed like a friend, because I believe she knows you, and said, let's not do that. Let's just take it down, stop it. Nancy then aggressively confronted the female support staff. I'm not sure what aggressive is, but she was telling her to stop talking. And I walked with that other person. So we are aggressive. So this is threatening demeanor is what this says. So myself, I'm a middle-aged woman. I believe Emily Wishman was there, and Patty Kay and Nancy. So you're telling me Dr. Lawrence, and you felt threatened? Okay, so it says that we followed you to a car, which we did not. We stopped on the sidewalk. We did not yell obscenities. I don't think she called you demeaning. What I find interesting is the only person that received this was Nancy. And you go to church with her. That is bullying. That is why we have a problem with this school district. This could have been fixed. You do not set a good example. I am ashamed. Counterfeit Christian. Absolutely.
LCAP. You're standing here with your back to the audience, so I wonder how you know who is talking, like you insinuated certain people were. There's no way. You're facing forward. All right. Our tax dollars pay for your salaries, and they pay for the attorney hired by the district. So please explain then, why can the attorney who we pay for and turn around and file against the taxpayer who pays his salary? That doesn't make sense. Why can't the attorney that we pay for work for us instead of against us? Who authorized this letter by the attorney to Nancy Nunes? This needless letter, whoever authorized, used taxpayer money needlessly. Your own policy, number 1313, states, behavior of students or staff that is intimidating, including bullying, is prohibited and subject to discipline. In my opinion, that applies to you. Your policy, follow your own policy. Since this letter to Nancy is not factual, does not include names, does not give the author of the points presented, it surely must be meant for intimidation. I request that Nancy be able to use the same attorney, because Nancy pays the attorney's salary, when for her own representation, since these accusations in this letter violate your own policy number 1313. Thank you.
A couple of items worked on the agenda was the data that I had asked about, and surely, Dr. Sparks, I know there's plenty of data out there. There's tons of data. It's not misinformation. It's all here. Accountability plan, plan after plan. What I was getting at is it's never in a form where our board can look at it, compare one year to another year. What this is, Raquel said she's been looking at stats, so I wish you would share that with all of us, because I think it's so important that, especially since the superintendent has not been evaluated this spring, and maybe a year, it's been a year in the spring that she's not been validated. And this is great information that you need to be held accountable, to give her raises, not a Me Too raise, but a raise. And that's what you as a school board that does. She is the controller, gets things done. And I think without somebody with a leadership like that, nothing's going to get done. If you look at our test scores, and you look at the way the LCAP is handled, yeah, this is great stats. 77% minorities. Also, too, when I asked about a Spanish speaker, I know we have Spanish speakers, but are they in-house or are they contracts? Before we had in-house, whereas it's not like the lady, Miss Gomez from Libby School, when she came to the district office and turned in a complaint, it was in Spanish. So Miss Ann Gibbons said, can you do this in English? How insulting. If you had an in-house person and not a contract later, which I know, I want to call her Olga, that's Olga's daughter, it's right there. And so we need to have that availability. And if you have 5 there, is it contract or is it in-house? And that makes a real difference as far as school family. Again, we have 77.2% minority in our district, and that needs to be really looked at, along with the number 1 is academics. And so I think in plans to come, you need to put that in a form where our board members can see the progress. Because I want progress. We're not here just to complain about how bad everything is. We want progress. We want to see those little steps, because there are going to be little steps to get our kids going. So I would like to see that, as we had it many years ago. We have that. We had charts. We had data. We looked at it, and it was great to see where we're coming from, because it's tough. We know our kids is tough. We know it's tough out there for our kids. So we want to be able to see that as a community, to say, look, this is what we have, and this is where we're going, and this is what I want for our kids and for our districts, is the best. that we can give it. And I think without data that's readable, that our school board can really understand and go from there. And it's part of your job to make sure that they understand where they're going and what you're going to go to help them and to, again, to better their lives. So I'm sure I'll see you on Saturday at the parade. I will be there with my little 1937 Chevy, waving at everybody, so hopefully you'll be there too. Thanks.
So in regards to that, real quick,
Okay, in regards to that, you did say that it's for the board to see, and so we did see it. We've got a lot of information that they put that honestly side by side for us to see, because we did ask for that. So we've asked for the last few years of saying what that data looks like, because it's not just for us to see, but we wanted the LCAP to see also. So the people that were in the LCAP committee, they were able to see it because between Dr. Smedley and Dr. Sparks, we were able to compare a lot of the stuff that was going on. And a lot of the great things that we were able to see was that we can see with the new curriculum, because the curriculum was outdated 20 years for a lot of it. So now with the new curriculum coming in and the changes of the new curriculum and how outdated it was and how behind our kids were, because I can honestly say for my kid, from one step to another, because the curriculum being so outdated, we can go back and we can look now that they have the information that they need and the staff has what they need to do what they need to do for our students. It's happening. So we are looking at it and we are seeing it as important. So I know we asked for a lot of stuff, and like I said, they are showing it in LCAP, so it is out there. The information, the data is out there because it is something that is readily available for us in the moment to just go and ask. There's meetings being held constantly because as a board we do have questions. Sometimes we're in the weeds too much, unfortunately, because we step out of the helicopter because we want to know, because we are parents still in this community. So that information is out there, so just so you know that it is there. We are getting the comparisons of the good and the bad, but again, the iReady is one of those greatest tools that I can honestly say as a parent, that it's one of those things that we can look at as teachers, as staff, as admins, for the executive committee, to look at it and say, this is what's going on, and then we can work with that student before they move forward. So we're not having that thing, because in all honesty, I'll tell you that my biggest thing right now is that everybody is reading at grade level by third grade, so that we're at that point, and so we're pushing, and I can honestly say that our staff is doing an amazing job at getting those students where they need to be, because we've put the stuff out there, we've given them the information and the curriculum that they need to be able to do this, and they're doing the work. And it's hard, it's not easy, it is so difficult, because you have combo classes, because you have students that need so much more social emotional support. The staff is going above and beyond. So I have to just, unfortunately, go to this point of saying that we are getting the data, and I applaud everybody out there, and our staff is not here because they're on break because they so need it. But you need to share out with them that they are doing the work, and it's there. The proof is in the data that we get constantly, because we do get it a lot of times updated, because they want us to know, because we ask the information and we ask the questions. So it is there. Just know that we are looking at it and we are holding people accountable, because it's not always what we want, and it's not. And as a past board member, specifically that things don't happen, unfortunately, at the rate that we want it to happen. And because I'm that person that I want change now, and now I want it, and it used to be now, but it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So again, everybody is working so hard, and our students are doing amazing in this school district. As much as it may not seem like they are going above and beyond, and they're doing it not only academically, but they're doing it socially and emotionally, and they're doing amazing things, and they're out there in that community, and we have so many more students coming back to serve in this community, and coming back and working on our staff, and that's great to see, because they want to continue to give back what they were given, and to continue to give back to the kids, and to their own nieces and nephews, and everybody else that's in this community. So that is a great thing to see, and so I applaud our staff. I get that we want more Spanish speakers. I'm all about that. That's always my question. Do they speak Spanish?
that's what needs to happen because that's what we need in this community. So please understand that we hear you, I hear you, we understand, and we are fighting and we're doing what we can to best serve this community in the way that they should and will be deserving. Sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, thank you. In reviewing the instances of the school board, why are there so many secrets from parents? Number two, you are absolutely not looking out for our innocent children, nor do you have respect for the parents. I'm not worried about what the kids are learning as much as, and what they're doing, as what you are not doing. So therefore, I do not trust your judgment at all. Number three, we are disgusted over your actions and the inappropriate books in the library for middle schoolers to see and read. Don't try to tell the parents that you protect our kids. You don't. Number four, you do not deserve your paychecks or respect by any of us when you fail us and our children. We are holding you accountable. Number five, why should parents have to opt out to prevent our kids from seeing the filth in these books? You just got through saying they are what they see. And you've got trash in your library for them to see. I am ashamed of those that do not stand up. My husband and I are Marines, and thank God we stand up because you don't. Number six, our goal is to remove all the school board members who have voted approving not to inform parents. And in past history, we know the groups that did that before. We see every one of you, and I'm very disappointed. Thank you.
Lorraine Sigmund and Allison Manning.
Good evening, everybody. This is one good evening. This is very interesting. We hear the parents and citizens, concerned citizens of Oceanside, talking about issues that come at all different levels. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, why is our tax money not being used wisely? Let me go into a few. I'm going to try and follow these here rules here so that I don't get in trouble here. So, Robert's Rules of Order is I notice when you're bringing up issues, you make a motion and then you vote on it, and you don't say all in favor, aye, and then all opposed. There was no all opposed. You didn't take no vote on who's opposing. And after you make the motion, that's when you go into discussion. You don't just have a bunch of talking and then say, okay, let's have a motion. If I'm out of line here, go ahead and tell me. I think I'm speaking nicely. So let's follow the rules here. I can remember when I was growing up and I raised my kids and how I taught them. I remember when I was at school, I used some words that my dad used at home that he doesn't, that word wasn't good to use. And so I caught my accountability at school. And then when I got home, I got accountability at home too. Because the teacher, I got my dunce hat on, I got to stand in the corner, and everybody was at recess, and then I was held accountable. And when I grew up, that's how the school worked together. The teachers and the parents worked together. When something happened at school with the child, the parents knew about it that evening when they got home, and taking care of business, raising the kids. Okay, so none of the secret stuff is done. I'm not going to order them down on there. So I can tell you, I never ended up in the back of the squad car. So I so much, but our tax money is being spent on people that shouldn't be in that school in the first place. If they're not ready to go to the next grade level, they should be held back and get held over. So we're not just pushing them through, and then when they're 18, they're supposed to be ready for the world. But we're too busy doing social stuff, and that's the problem. No time for social stuff. We should stick to the basic fundamentals of patriotism and serving our country and our community. Thank you.
Good evening. I wanted to read Mr. Jordy Sparks, Director of DEI. He quoted on his little post here, just wrapped up a year 19 of working and serving in public schools, and as happens each year for me, I'm convinced that local public schools are the lifeblood of our communities and our society at large. The impact of public schools, whether negative or positive, can be felt and witnessed through a neighborhood or a community, a city, a state, beyond. I'm still convinced, and no disrespect to other professions, that teaching and working and educating in public schools is the greatest and most important profession. You're correct, as it is extremely important for our future generations that you get it straight and get it right. What I don't agree with is what you decided to write in the next couple lines. And for a number of years now, I've seen that sentiment challenged, tested, and in some cases eroded by people who want to see schools go backwards rather than forwards. But the haters fail to realize that schools progress alongside society. And I've seen hate-filled, bigoted, fearful, and misplaced attacks thrown at schools, educators, educational leaders, and systems in the name of political agendas, religion, quote, what's best for kids, unquote, election ignorance, you name it. And my team and I have stayed the course and focused on knowledge over noise with our eyes on what's best. Nearly 16,000 students in Oceanside. Yeah, remember that number, 16,000 in this district. And I think that what you said towards the end here is hate-filled. Because you're speaking about myself as a parent in the district. Oh yeah, that's what you're trying to say here. Me attending these school boards is being bigoted and hate-filled, disrespectful, unprofessional, grotesque. These are my people. I'm so thankful that they are here giving their time, that you guys have eroded by having us come here at 5 o'clock instead of giving us time as parents here in this district. We can't even make these meetings. I barely even was able to make it today. I have kids out on summer break, busy mama. I'm tired of y'all's little attitudes towards we the people, okay? And yeah, you serve we the people. But I did see that Mr. Sparks at Libby School decided to just walk away, never coming and engaging with our Latino families wanting answers that day that they held a protest, one of a couple different protests. Yet I saw Mr. Sparks at an LGBTQ Unicorn Homes event engaging.
At this time, we will call this meeting adjourned at 6:47. Thank you.